The rain fell in sheets, soaking through her coat, her dress, her skin. Malene stood on the front porch, one hand gripping her swollen belly, the other pounding on the door. She was in labor, real bone-deep, breath-stealing labor. Her contractions came like crashing waves, tight, fast, relentless. And the people inside, they were laughing. She could see them through the window. Julian, her husband, and Dorothy, her mother-in-law, sitting comfortably at the dining table, sipping coffee, sharing pastries, talking like it was just another cozy evening. "Please," Malene gasped, pressing her face against the cold glass. Tears mixed with rainwater on her cheeks. Her breath fogged the window. Another contraction hit harder than the last. She bent over, clutching the doorframe, legs trembling. Inside, Dorothy leaned in and whispered something into Julian's ear. He chuckled, didn't even glance toward the door. Dorothy smiled coldly. Then she said it. With her chin lifted, her voice like ice. She made her choice when she disrespected this family. Let her figure it out herself. She didn't scream anymore. She didn't have the strength. She just stood there shaking, soaked, and staring at the door that refused to love her back. This house, this marriage, this family, they weren't hers. They never had been. The baby inside her kicked hard, as if begging, "Why are we still here?" She didn't know. Maybe she still hoped someone would open the door. Maybe she still believed Julian had something left, a sliver of husband, of man, of human. But the silence was louder than any slap. It was the kind of silence that says, "You're not one of us. You never were." And that broke something inside her. Not her spirit. No, not yet. But the part of her that still wanted to believe this was a mistake, that part was gone now. Julian wasn't always this cold. In the beginning, he was the man who brought her roses after night shifts, who painted baby animals on the nursery wall with shaky hands and too much paint, who cried when they heard their daughter's heartbeat for the first time. And Dorothy, she was just his mom, helpful, sweet, a little too present. At first, it was small things. She changed the paint color because beige was too depressing. She replaced Malene's prenatal vitamins with ones her doctor said were better. She threw away Malene's childhood blanket, said it looked unsanitary for a baby. Malene laughed it off. She thought Dorothy was just excited, overbearing, but harmless. She didn't see it then, that the house she lived in, it was never hers. It wasn't abuse, not the kind you can point to. It wasn't violence, not the kind that bruises skin. It was something slower, quieter, meaner. Dorothy never raised her voice. She didn't need to. She raised eyebrows instead. Changed appointments without asking, left books on emotional instability beside Malene's bed. "She's just tired," Dorothy would say when Malene spoke up. "She's hormonal, poor thing." And Julian had not. He always nodded. Soon, Malene had no say in her own birth plan. Dorothy changed her OBGYN. Malene's doula was uninvited. Her food cravings replaced with what's healthy for the baby. And the final cut, Dorothy told the neighbor, "We're just trying to help Malene. She's a bit fragile." That word clung to Malene like mold. Fragile, unfit, unstable. She once told her reflection, "I feel like a guest, like a piece of furniture, like I live here but don't exist here." And somehow that hurt more than being hated. It started at 2:43 a.m. A wave of pain tore through her back, wrapping around her like barbed wire. Malene gripped the edge of the sink and gasped. This wasn't Braxton Hicks. This wasn't just pressure. This was it. She called Julian. 3 rings. He picked up, groggy. "I think I'm in labor," she whispered, breath shaking. Silence. Then, "Call my mom," he said flatly. "She'll know what to do." He didn't ask if she was okay. He didn't say he was coming. He handed her off. Within 15 minutes, Dorothy arrived. Calm, dressed, lipstick on, like she'd been waiting. "False alarm," she smiled, canceling the taxi Malene had already ordered. Trust me, dear, you're fine. If the baby were coming, you wouldn't be able to talk. Malene doubled over in pain. Dorothy poured herself tea. It's just nerves. I had the same thing with Julian. Another wave came. Malene screamed. Julian never called back. Her water broke at 4:17 a.m. She felt it, warm, sudden, spreading. Malene shouted, "It's time! I need to go, now!" Dorothy didn't flinch. She folded a napkin. "You're overreacting. First babies take hours." Malene turned to grab her phone. Gone. So was her hospital bag. She ran to the front door. Locked. "Open it, now!" Dorothy sipped her tea. "If you step outside like this, someone will think you're unstable." Pain surged again, worse this time. Malene collapsed to the floor, clutching her stomach. "I'm going to have this baby in this house or die on the porch." No reply. She screamed Julian's name. No answer. She reached for the landline. Dorothy yanked it from the wall. "You'll thank me later." But Malene wasn't listening anymore. She crawled, bleeding, trembling toward the back door. That one was unlocked. They wheeled her in. Blood on her thighs, tears down her face. No one holding her hand. No family. Only Nurse Ruby, whose eyes were sharper than the scalpel in the doctor's hands. "You're not alone," Ruby whispered. "You're fighting, and I see it." Contractions hit again. Malene screamed so hard she thought her lungs would tear. But she didn't stop. Not for Julian, not for Dorothy, not for anyone. Just for her. And at 6:04 a.m., the room filled with a new sound. A cry. A girl. Small, red, strong. Ruby wrapped her in warm cloth, smiled, and said, "Welcome to the world, Florence Rose." Malene held her child and whispered, "I will never let you grow up in chains." And in that moment, she didn't feel broken anymore. She felt born too. Malene didn't scream. She didn't post online. She didn't call her friends. She watched. She listened. She asked for her things back from Julian's house and noted what wasn't returned. Laptop, birth documents, bank statements. Instead of demanding, she downloaded public records, property registries, corporate filings under Santino Holdings. Something didn't add up. Why was a bakery in New Jersey paying rent to a shell company in the Cayman Islands, owned by Julian? Were 3 cars registered under Dorothy's name, but listed under Santino Inc. insurance? And then, in one forgotten drawer of a nursery dresser Julian accidentally dropped off, she found Dorothy's notebook, daily logs, legal printouts, custody plan drafts, meeting notes with a family attorney. Goal: establish Malene as mentally unstable. Step 3, use postpartum period. Step 7, emergency custody petition. It wasn't just emotional abuse, it was a strategy. And she had proof. 2 weeks before the wedding of Julian's sister Dorothy called Malene to her garden patio. Her nails were sharp, her pearls tighter than ever, and her voice cold honey. "You've embarrassed the family enough. You left Julian alone. You humiliated him." Malene didn't answer. Dorothy leaned in. "But you can fix this. Be the bigger woman. Apologize. Publicly." Malene stared at her. "Or?" she asked quietly. Dorothy didn't blink. "Or prepare to lose everything. Florence, the house, any ounce of dignity you think you have left." She smiled. "You think people will believe a hormonal little nurse over a Santino?" Silence. Then Malene stood. "You're right," she said. "I'm not a Santino." She walked away. Not a word more. But the fuse had been lit. Malene didn't fight. She started showing up to family events again, smiling softly, wearing beige, bringing Florence in a neatly pressed dress. Dorothy beamed. Julian sighed in relief. "I knew you'd come to your senses," Dorothy said. "You just needed guidance." Malene nodded and waited. That weekend, while the house was empty for a bridal brunch, Malene asked the cleaner for 5 minutes in Dorothy's study, said she left her phone charger. Instead, she opened the bottom drawer. Trust fund blueprints, property deeds under fake LLCs, a printed email, "We will move for emergency custody on July 9th. She took photos, every page. That night, she created a private bank account in Wyoming, a legal team under attorney Bridget Kwan, a secure drive with every document labeled Florence Protection Plan. "If anything happens to me," she whispered to Ruby, "send this to every media contact on that list." Malene no longer cried. She wrote, she planned, she prepared. It wasn't revenge, it was rescue, one Florence at a time. The Santino estate was dressed in roses and gold. Guests arrived in black SUVs and champagne heels. Julian's sister Cecilia was glowing in Dior. Dorothy greeted each guest like a queen returning to court. And in the middle of it all, Malene, in navy, holding Florence's hand. No drama, no outbursts, just an envelope. 1 hour before vows, Malene stepped outside, opened her phone, and clicked Send to Internal Revenue Service Channel, 91 Newsroom, Attorney General's Office, 18 Family Investors, Dorothy's personal accountant, attached, Dorothy's handwritten journal, photos of corporate fraud, voice note of Julian screaming, "Sign it or I'll take the baby," subject line, "Custody conspiracy and financial crime, Santino family." Then she walked back inside, took her seat, smiled at the priest, and waited. Just as Cecilia walked the aisle, phones started buzzing. First whispers, then gasps. Then, a cameraman from Channel 9 appeared at the gate with 2 IRS agents behind him. "Is Mrs. Dorothy Santino here? We have a warrant for arrest, multiple counts of fraud and conspiracy." Guests froze. Dorothy dropped her clutch. Julian ran forward. "This is a mistake." An agent held up a folder. His offshore accounts, shell company ties, wire transfers traced back 3 years. A breaking news alert flashed on guests' phones. Breaking: Santino family under federal investigation for custody fraud and financial crimes. The priest stepped back. Cecilia started crying. Dorothy was cuffed on the marble steps, her last words, "That little nurse, she did this." Julian escorted out by legal officers, face drained, silent. And in the back row, Florence giggled. Malene stroked her hair. "We're free now, baby." But in her eyes wasn't joy. It was justice, bought with pain, sealed with silence, and finally, delivered. It had been a year. The headlines faded, the lawsuits settled, the Santino estate auctioned, and Malene now lived in Oregon in a small cedar cottage near the water. Florence was walking, talking, painting the walls with blueberry jam. One morning, the mailman left a certified letter. No return address. Only her name, handwritten in careful script. Inside, ivory paper and Dorothy's handwriting. "Malene, if you're reading this, it means I have nothing left but regrets. I see clearly now the damage I caused, the way I twisted my son, the way I tried to control you. I can't undo what I've done, but I can give your daughter what I stole from her, a future free from my shadow. Enclosed is a trust fund, $2 million, for Florence. It's hers, no conditions. I was a terrible mother-in-law, but I did love that child. Please don't let her forget me entirely." Dorothy Malene closed the letter, folded it, then turned to Florence, who was giggling in a blanket for it. "You'll read this one day," she whispered, "but not today." She slipped the letter into a locked drawer. Outside it was spring, the sky wide open, and for the first time in years, Malene felt safe. It was a quiet Sunday afternoon. Florence sat at the kitchen table, crayons everywhere, drawing what the teacher called a family tree. She looked up. "Mama, where's Grandma Dorothy?" Malene smiled, not with bitterness, but with clarity. "Not every branch belongs, baby. Some trees grow stronger when you cut the rot away." Their family tree had 2 names, just 2, Florence Rose, Malene. Beside them were little drawings, a dog, Ruby, the nurse, and their neighbor, Ella, and hearts, so many hearts. "We used to have a house full of people," Malene whispered, brushing Florence's hair, "but no love. Now it's just us, but we've got love, and that's enough." She hung the drawing on the fridge. The paper fluttered. And for the first time, Malene didn't feel the need to explain, or justify, or apologize. Just because they're family doesn't mean they deserve a place in your life. Family without respect is just control wrapped in tradition. You don't owe anyone access to your peace. Not your in-laws, not your parents, not even your partner. Love is not proven by blood. It's proven by presence, protection, and respect. And sometimes the bravest thing you can do is walk away, even from those who raised you. You're not selfish for choosing peace. You're wise for choosing yourself. Have you ever stayed silent at the dinner table just to keep the peace? Ever felt like you had to shrink yourself just to fit into someone else's version of family? Then this channel is for you. Subscribe now because every week we tell the stories no one talks about. Stories of women who broke the silence, who turned pain into power, and who chose peace over permission. Your story matters, and here you are not alone.